Welcome everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Derek with the Heidi's Outdoors. Today is our final project on the tractor before we get it outdoors. So let's get this third function kit installed and we'll see you out there. So the kit we're using today is the Summit Hydraulics TFK7. It's a pretty good kit that I got picked up off Amazon. Link will be in the description below. So if you're interested and you want to take a look and see if this will fit your tractor, then you can go on there and take a look. And there are so many different options. I get the kit that was probably the closest in size because it's actually designed for a Kubota, whereas my TYM based RK37 is just a little bit different. So we've got a few modifications that we're making here. A couple of them being that the two of the hoses that were included with the kit were a little too long, so I had to pick up a couple additional, as well as you can also see we got some additional fittings over here. So these are the items that didn't come included in the kit. So included with the kit, so you have the valve and its block. You got the hoses. You got a couple brackets, one for mounting the hoses on the front end loader, and then you have a bracket which I've already installed on the tractor. I'll get to that in just a minute here. Have an assortment of fittings that correspond to the instruction set that comes with it. So one of the things that I also did was I went on to their website and pulled down some additional diagrams just to kind of to understand how the valve system works. So we have a joystick with control, and we have all the wiring that goes up to the valve. A couple little additional tools, a couple wrenches that come with it. I'd like to show you a common misunderstanding that a lot of people have whenever they look at and think of hydraulics. So a lot of times whenever people are used to putting together pipes and hoses, whenever they think of especially pneumatic systems, they think, well, I need a thread sealant, I need some Teflon tape. Well, for hydraulic systems, there are certain fittings that do need some thread sealant, and there are most of them though do not. So I wanted to give you a quick example of the ones that we're going to be using here and which ones do take thread sealant, which ones you don't want to use thread sealant. So the first one we have here is you have a pipe thread, but it has an O-ring on it. So with these, the O-ring is what does the seal, and you don't want to use any thread sealant. The second type is a JIC fitting. So with this, there's a cone, as you can see here, that mates up to a similar cone inside the female side of the fitting, and that itself also will seal, and you do not need or want to use any thread sealant with that. The type of fitting that you do need to use thread sealant on is one of these. So you have on this hose here, it's one of the few that I have. This is a standard pipe thread or NPT thread fitting. So on this one, you do want to use a pipe thread or pipe sealant. So you don't want to use Teflon tape because Teflon tape can be pretty well eaten up by oils and hydraulics. You want to use a thread sealant that's specifically designed to work with hydraulics and especially oils. And what we have here, it's actually not it is a sealant, but what its purpose is actually it actually functions more as a lubricant to help secure a tighter fitting for the pipe threads. So that's, again, a common misconception, and you only want to use just a little bit. You don't want to get it right here on the end. You want to start a couple threads up and just get a little bit in here in some of these middle threads. And a little bit goes a long ways with these. Okay, so this is the loader valve that we're going to be tapping into. This is what controls the hydraulics and has the couplers for the front end loader that cover the lift and the curl and tilt. So this is the port that we're going to be tapping into. As you can see, I've already disconnected this bottom fitting. This is actually the Power Beyond that sends hydraulic fluid back to the rear third SCV set. So this is what we're going to be tapping into. I went ahead and made the disconnection so that way I could make sure I had the right fittings to connect the new hoses. The hydraulic fluid runs through the valve and runs through the loader, and then it goes out after the loader valves. It goes out back to the Power Beyond. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking and tapping into the Power Beyond port, which in effect is after the front loader. We don't have too many options for where we're going to mount the loader valve assembly. There are a couple considerations. One is we have to be able to access the Power Beyond line at the bottom of the loader valve. And then we have to be able to run these hose lines down the loader to the front of the loader. What I decided on was a bracket that I installed right here. So this bracket came with the third function kit, and I've already gone ahead and connected it on it to bolted it on, and I'm going to be using this facing the valve on the inside, so that way it's not exposed to the outside. This is the moment I'm starting to realize things are not going right. As you can tell here, fitting isn't exactly mating up as I expected it would. Well, turns out that the standard size fittings that come with the universal kit, well, they didn't quite match up. The Power Beyond valve or the Power Beyond port that comes out of the loader valve is actually a British type thread, and it is not a standard what you would consider a standard type thread. So this universal kit that I have here is a prime example of where the cost savings of going with a universal kit versus getting something from the OEM manufacturer sometimes is not quite so easy. It's not a direct bolt-on application. I mean, it is a bolt-on application, but sometimes you're not aware of some of the intricacies or the various types of connectors you'll need. So unfortunately, what I end up having to do here is go and find the solution. At this point in the installation, I'm just getting frustrated. I don't know what's going on. I'm just ready to give it up for the evening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plan on going to a local hydraulic shop and see if I can get some answers. This is now the second day of working on this third function hydraulic kit install on the TYM based RK tractor. We had some technical difficulties with some fittings yesterday. There seems to be a incompatibility, so I had to run to a local hydraulic shop and get some additional fittings. So we'll get these put together now that I've got everything I need, and then we'll get this thing buttoned up. Where we had a kind of a hiccup was the fitting coming out of the bottom of the loader valve here, the Power Beyond. It ended up being a different thread type than what is included within a universal kit.
This actually ended up being a British style thread instead of a standard metric or even a standard thread. So had to go pick up some connections, had to replace this 90-degree elbow in order to tap in as the supply line. So we'll get the unfortunately, due to the way it converts and what they had to get a couple different pieces here to thread in and connect into our into the tank line, which sends you back. So the fluid will go up through to the valve, and then it'll come back whenever not needed through our tank line. All right, everybody, so we got all the hydraulic lines hooked up, all the hoses from the valve down to the loader. So right now, I've only got them zip tied in place, so that way we can just test the function, make certain that whenever I go to secure them with some brackets later on, that they won't pinch, that they won't rub or get pulled in. So now we're going to go on to getting the handle installed and getting the valve wired up. Work smarter, not harder. That should be it. We got our power, our ground, the 10 amp fuse. Let's go ahead, get the cover on. All right. Well, this part of the video, this is where I'd be normally showing you how well the third function kit it does work, because it does. It is a strong and it's a well-built kit. Unfortunately, I had what may be a rookie error, but I know this seems to happen to a lot of people who post to YouTube. You lose a little bit of footage that you can't replicate. Unfortunately, in this instance, I lost a little bit of the footage that shows me opening and closing the grapple, and where I'm bleeding the lines, testing how fast it opens and closes. Well, unfortunately, all my connections were good, but the grapple, I made another rookie mistake, and I didn't check the fittings for the new grapple as well. So I did have some hydraulic fluid that leaked out of the grapple itself. All my connections were good, and so I was pretty excited, pretty proud of the progress I made here.
Well, everybody, that's it for today. We're gonna go ahead and go to the store because we gotta pick up some oil dry for all the fittings that we need. Then the grapple, mount my third function kit. So we will go ahead and do that, and then we'll see you on the next video.